I spent a considerable amount of time that was mostly in the earlier part of today working on the 99th Dan Hamming. According to what I recall, I think I got up from falling asleep very recently. I think I fell asleep sometime around 3 to 4 p.m., something like that, in this very room. Due to feeling pretty tired at the time. And oddly enough, bizarrely enough, I ended up forgetting to eat had 2 sandwiches Dad made for me today. Although I did decide at around noon, I would say, to double up on the cans of soup, because the only container I found to put soup in was this pretty big container that I found in the same cupboard as the cans of soup themselves were at. And the cans of soup, excuse me, the cans of soup I ultimately decided to get were a can of Progresso chicken and wild rice, mixed in with a small can of Campbell's chicken noodle soup with Star Wars shaped characters. Although I'm pretty sure those Star Wars characters in particular were from the Maldorian or some other early, modern film. So modern that I'm not really familiar with it because I haven't been following the Star Wars scene that much. I mean, I am familiar. Did hear of the Star Wars film, The Maldorian. I just haven't gone out of my way to see that film. Technically speaking, I went out of my way to see the Grizzly Man documentary, which discusses basically the life of Timothy Treadwell, which is someone who, which was a person who spent, if I'm recalling correctly, 13 summers living among the bears at, I believe, some sort of park within the state of Alaska. A lot of the people in the comments said that Timothy Treadwell was mentally ill. With one comment in particular stating that while watching the whole documentary, they shifted between feeling sorry for Timothy to basically not having any sympathy for him. Which may mirror how a lot of people felt at that time. Oddly enough, I've been able to catch up at last the side quest to my actual in-game progress. I have no idea what he's going to be doing. I'm assuming he's my dwarven advisor. Produce bread 10 times. I'm pretty sure bread. Yeah, that's what I produce most often. It's the 1 hour production cycle item. Shortly before falling asleep, I suddenly remembered the YouTube channel of the Lonely Goomba. Because I watched because I remember that they had made videos back in 2014 or so, something in 2013, something along those lines. And I had remembered watching at least some of those videos back in the day, or maybe a few years afterwards. Either way, I watched their older videos at some point in the past. And generally, I have a preference for the older videos because I haven't even tried out and watching the newer videos. I do know that the Lonely Goomba still does make YouTube videos, with the most recent being just 2 months old. At around 7, for breakfast, Dad gave me a cup of coffee and 2 cups of yogurt that were given to me separately. I think I was first given a cup of Greek yogurt with pineapple chunks, and then one with more, I would say, raspberry chunks. I set myself to try and work consistently on the 99th Dan Hamming until 9 in the morning. By which I had a bit of a headache because working on Dan Hamming episodes these days requires me to spend quite a bit of time solving what are pretty complex problems for me compared to how things were when I was just starting out. Excuse me, and even later on into the process. One thing that blows my mind is how much later I made the Frank OS episode compared to the Officer Frank Error episode. The Officer Frank Error episode is number 48, while the Officer Frank OS episode I remember, it turns out I made that episode much later. I think it was ultimately somewhere in the 60s to the 70s. Or even the 80s. In terms of the chronological episode order. Which is both the order in which I made the episode as well as the order in the story. That's how it's designed by me, at least for the time being. I remember the OS episode because I distinctly remembered that the beginning of the episode featured a scene where basically I used the gaze of Dan Hemming watching a YouTube video to create a parody of a YouTube video I had seen online. A Go Animate video made in the business-friendly style, of where you commit suicide with a firearm that turned out to be a handgun. And so I made a parody of that video, same Go Animate platform, same business-friendly style. Although, of course, what actually transpired prior to the suicide scene and in the immediate aftermath were considerably different. But as soon as I found that Officer Frank Error episode in the middle of the pack, so to speak, I assumed that the OS episode was there similarly. That it was also in the middle of the pack. But as it turns out, it was significantly later, so I had some difficulty finding the Officer Frank OS episode. Because someone made a playlist of all 98 Dan Hammond episodes that are currently on my YouTube channel, all 98, made from the year 2013, back when I was in middle school and I was 12 years old. Which by definition made me a preteen, to the year 2020, when I was in college. And I still am in college, but now I'm going into my last undergrad semester. Taking an art class and a Spanish class because I've been able to finish up my double major degree of political science and criminal justice. In regards to at that 9 a.m. break time, I had that bag of pizzeria combos that me and Mom got. from the Brockport bookstore the other day. Literally yesterday. I had that whole bag to myself because I, in particular, was the one who asked for it, and Mom didn't express any interest in asking for and having for such a salty snack. I think I also had half of that container of Planters, what I now know are cheese curls. About half of it, and then later on, I would say around 1 p.m. I had some more of those cheese curls, making about a third to a quarter of all of the cheese curls left. They were pretty good, but not on the level of the Panthers Cheetos. Which may have been how the general public felt when Planters cheese curls were initially introduced. I combined the two soups into that same big plastic container, and I had the Mango Venom energy drink at the same time as I had those snacks that I got from the bookstore yesterday during my, what I at the time kind of termed a break at 9 a.m. because obviously during that time I only did kind of a tiny bit of work. Excuse me, on the 99th Dan Hamming. I'm currently in a bit of a pickle because now I'm in the process of creating a new scene. And so far the best action I found for the person, the Hispanic girl of the group of 3, sort of robbers, that I tried to make as diverse as possible by making a Hispanic girl, a Caucasian male, and an African American male to consist of the group of 3. And I gave the girl a tattoo on one arm, glasses, a green beanie. The Caucasian male had a brown hair handlebar mustache. And the African American male had this pointy mustache. and so on and so on. Back around 6:30 p.m., Dad made a bit of a joke by telling me that I could now move into his room while I was already in his room because the night before I had fallen asleep in his room. I woke up around 2 in the morning. 2:30ish in the morning. And he got up as he usually does at around 5:45 in the morning, though I don't think I really knew about it. I didn't walk into the room until about 6 in the morning, but I know he generally gets up around 5:45 in the morning. It's pretty good.
Oh, I'm full, Ty.
Maybe I'll have some more later.
You can have more later.
Oh, so what's going to happen to the sandwiches?
Well, you'll have to wait and eat those tomorrow. You must have fell asleep since the last time I talked to you.
What?
You had to fall asleep from noon till the time I got home.
No, roughly around that time. I would say I think I fell asleep somewhere between 3 and 4
Did you?
in the afternoon, I think.
Oh, okay.
That's what I recall.
Right.
I was feeling somewhat tired by that point.
All right. Well, that's all right. You can stay in my room and fall asleep. I'll sleep on the couch again.
Okay.
I don't have any dessert or anything. So. Let me know when you want another water. Maybe I'll make some tea.
Okay. Thanks, Dad.
Right.
It's currently 10:30 p.m. and I think I just recently got up from falling asleep again because I felt tired. And I found out that after completing a lesson, there's a chance that Duolingo offers will offer you a more challenging lesson or a more challenging version of that lesson that'll be worth double the usual experience. And I accepted that challenge. And it didn't seem to be too much harder. This is supposed to be tea, I believe. And it tastes pretty good. Apparently there was some point in which they brought the dwarves back to life somehow. Of course, the time I successfully completed that extra challenging lesson, got 20 experience for it, although ultimately, that was the point where I found out if you run out of hearts, you have to pay 450 gems to refill them. Though that's only if you completely run out of hearts, and you completely refill your hearts if you do that. I know that the hearts refill naturally if you wait, so was thinking of not refilling the hearts. Although it's then said if I did that, then I would lose all progress in the lesson. After completing the first initial non-challenge lesson, I was 5 experience away from my current daily goal. I think I'm pretty close to having enough granite. Although, do what you wish as long as it does not harm anyone. I actually have a habit of saving these fortunes. Some kind of pot that I think is out within the hallway that divides this room from the living room and the spare room, where Dad stores his collection of comic books and baseball cards. Or really, I should say sports cards, to be more inclusive, because he also has football cards. That should be easy enough. I've been working on getting for quite a while on getting these 2 residences to this level in an effort to save space for quite a while now.